Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello guys, let's see this matrix that we have on the screen. It's a 4x4 matrix with elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16. So usually how we print? Usually in whatever lectures you saw till now, in most of them, whenever we are using any matrix and printing it or traversing it, we usually traverse in row-wise manner. What do I mean by the row-wise manner? So, see this matrix. First I'll go to the first element. My first element is 1, which is present at 0, 0. So I'll go there, I'll print it. Then I'll go to the next element. Next element is the first row and second column, which is here, which is 2. So let's see this. I will go to the second element, I'll print it. Then I'll go to the third element, which is present at first row, third column, which is 3. Then next element is 4, first row, last column. Now after printing the first row, I'll shift to the second row, first column, which is first element of second row, which is 5 here. Then I'll go to the 6, 7, 8, second row is over, third row, 9, 10, 11, 12, third row is over, fourth row, 13, 14, 15, 16. So usually we print like this. In this program we are not going to do this. We are going to do something else. We are going to print the elements of this matrix only, let's say, in a different order, which is a spiral order. So let's see what do I mean by the spiral order. So suppose I have the same matrix. I'll start with 1, the first element. I'll print all the elements of first row, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I will not shift to the second row. I'll just print all the elements of last column, which is 8, 12, 16. Then I'll print all the elements, all the remaining elements of last row in reverse order, which is 15, 14, 13. Then the first column, all the remaining elements in reverse order, which is 9 and 5. 1 is already printed. Now what is left? In the second row, I'll print all the elements in the simple order, which are left, which are 6, 7. I'll go to the third row and I'll print 11 and I'll print after that 10. So in this, since this is a 4x4 matrix, then 10 is the middle element. So this is how we are going to perform. And you know, if you can print something like this, then you just need to add a library, which we are going to use a turtle library. And with that library, rather than just printing the elements, we'll print some kind of dot, colored dot, and it will look like we are animating something. So this is what exactly we are going to do. So let's do this. Hello everyone. So in this video we are going to write the program for our spiral traversal of the matrix. So in first program I'm going to make 2 programs. In first program we'll print the matrix in spiral order, just what we saw in the last video. So we'll see how we can do this. So let's do this. Let me create a function named spiral. Def spiral. And what are the parameters of this function? M is the number of rows, then N is the number of columns, and A is my matrix. So A is actually a list of lists through which I am representing a matrix. Let me define 2 variables. One is K equal to 0 and L is equal to 0. Let me tell you what these variables are. K is actually the starting index of the row, which is 0, and L is the starting index of the column, which is also 0. We know that M is the number of rows in the matrix and N is the number of columns in the matrix. So let me write this down. You guys already know that if you want to comment multiple lines, you have to do with this. Then you can comment multiple lines. So let me write this. K is index of starting row, and L is the index of starting column. Okay, now what we have to do? We have to first print the first row. The first row should be fully printed. Then we have to shift to the last column and print all the elements of last column. So let me write a while loop. While, see k is the index of the starting row index. While k is less than m, it means that k is when I'm going through all the elements of row, so I'm exhausting all the rows. If I'm getting over all the rows, then I should not print anything because my rows are over. So k should be less than m and L should be less than n. What do I mean? L is the starting column index, so all my columns are exhausted. So when all my rows and all my columns are exhausted, I have to stop the loop. Okay, while k is less than m and L is less than n. First I have to do is, since I am starting, first what I have to do, I have to print all the elements of first row. For that, let me write a loop. For I in range, see, elements of first row. Okay, I have to exhaust all the elements through all the columns. So I have to go through first column index, second column index, keeping my row fixed. I have to first go through the first column, second column, third column, fourth column, and so on. So my row index is fixed. I have to just traverse through the column. So my range will be L to N. Keep this in mind that this N is, whenever we type range starts from suppose you write in the parameter you give in range is 0, 5. So it will go like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Not up to 5. Okay, so hence I am writing n because n is my number of elements, number of columns. Okay, so suppose if I give 4, it will go to, and L is 0, so it will go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 times, but it will not go up to 4 as 4. So I can safely write here n. Okay, inside this loop I'll print my elements, which are print a. See, my row is fixed. Okay, so I will just write k here because the first k is the index of first row, and I. So I have to traverse through all the columns. So I is my column index. So row is fixed, row is 0, and I'll print all the elements of the first row through this. You all know that if I have to print the elements in one line with a space, I have to do like this, and with apostrophe, inverted comma, sorry. Awesome. After this, when the first row is over, I have to go to the second row, but I have to go to the second row. Let me show this. Yeah. When the first row is over, 1, 2, 3, 4, I have to go to the second row. So second row is important. So now here, see, second row, but I have to print all the elements of last column, 8, 12, 16. So in this traverser, my column is fixed, but I have to traverse through all the remaining rows. See, remaining rows are second row, third row, and fourth row. But the column is fixed. Column is the last column. So I'll do this. So let's see this so that we don't forget here. Let me comment this. Commenting is the best practice. You guys should comment every time whenever you write a code, so that when you revisit, you can understand what you wrote. And anyone who is trying to understand your program or trying to reinvent your program or use your program can understand what you did. So it's better to comment. So let me write here. What we did, we print the first row. So printing the first row from the remaining rows. So after this is over, when my elements of first row are printed first, okay, I have to go to the second row. So I'll do k plus is equal to 1, which means that now I am on the second row. So row index has been increased. K is my row index, which started from 0, but now it is on the the second row, which is k is equal to 1. Now I have to print the elements of last column. Now here I have to traverse through the remaining rows, okay, and my column should be fixed. So let me write this. For I in range, my column is fixed, remember, so I have to traverse through the rows, so which is k to m. That's it, because I already incremented my k, so it will go to the remaining k's, the last row. M is the last row index because m is the number of rows. Awesome. So I will just print here, print a. I have to traverse through rows, so I and column is fixed, which is what? N minus 1. Now why here n minus 1? Because again I have to say this because n is the number of columns. So suppose my number of columns are 4, since every time list starts from 0, so here it should be, suppose number of columns are 4 and number of rows are 4 also, so I have to put, in order to be in the last column, I have to put 3 here, because array list always starts from 0. So 3 here I have to put, for that I am putting n minus 1. Here I put k only because k is already 0, so I don't have to take care of minus 1 here, but here I have to take care of it. Okay, again I will write n is equal to, great. Now my last column is over. Last column is over means I have to shift my column to the second last. What do I mean by the second last? Since now here n is pointing at, let's say if number of rows and number of column of 4, n was pointing at 4, so n minus 1 was 3. Now I have to shift to the last column, so second last column, so that for that I have to do n minus equal to. Let me again comment this line, printing the last column from the remaining column. Awesome. This is done. Now here is some tricky part. Let's see this. Now we are on the second last column and last row. Second last column. So we did this. Now we have to print this. Okay. See, the tricky part here is we have to print it in the reverse order. This is the reverse order. 16, after that 15, 14, 13, we have to go in the reverse order. For that, what we'll do, if we have to check the number of rows are not exceeding, the row index is not exceeding the number of rows. Why I'm doing it again here? See, I already checked it in the while loop, but it might happen that after this condition, the k might become, let's say 5, which should not happen here. It should not happen. If k becomes 5 and it comes here and I am not stating this condition, then there is a bug in the program. So for that I have to put that condition again. Inside this, if it is fine, then I will write for I in range. Okay. Now what I have to do, I have to start from the second last column. I already decremented my n by minus 1, so I am already on the second last column. Since n is the number of columns, I will start from n minus 1. Where I have to go? I have to go to the first column. First column is indexed at 0. Now it might happen that since we are doing a generalized program, it might happen it might not go to the 0. It may, for example, in this part when I am printing 11 and 10, I have to go to 10 only. I don't have to go to 9 or 10 after that, 11 after that, 10. Okay, so I have to go to the last starting column index. Starting column index is, for now it is 0. Okay, for now it is 0, but it may not be 0 after some time. So for that I will write L minus 1, because again the range doesn't go to the doesn't include this value. It doesn't include this value, but I need this value. So for that I need L minus 1, so that it can go to L, exact L. Since I'm going in the reverse order, I mean I'm decrementing for n minus 1, n minus 2, n minus 3, n minus 4, and up to L I'll have to go. So I'll have to write here as minus 1. Minus 1 is my step. So by default step is always 1, positive 1. So you always go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Suppose you want to go 5 to 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You have to write here. You will start from 5 and up to 0 if you want to go up to 1, and minus 1, so that it can go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is my step function. Okay, so I'll go up to L minus 1, and inside I'll just print my array A, M minus 1, row minus 1. I'll start last row because I'm in the last row, and M minus 1 because M is the number of rows, and simply that's it. Great, I'm done with the last row also. Okay, so I'll decrement my rows. Okay, because now on the last row I want to go to the second last row. So I'm here, I was here, I printed all the elements of this row. I have to go to the second last, so I have to decrement my row index, not row index, I mean number of rows, which is n minus 1. This is done. Now next is, again let me comment this line so that I don't forget, printing the last row from remaining rows. Okay, now what is left? I am on the, let's say, second last row. I have to print the elements in the second last row. Second last row, I have to print the elements of the first column now in reverse order again. Okay, I have to do this in reverse order again. So for that, again I have to check if L is less than N. Okay, if L is less than N, then inside this I will write a loop for I in range M minus 1, because M is already decremented here and I want to start from the second last row to where? The first row I have to go until first row. So K minus 1. Okay, because I have to go until K, whatever K is. So for now K is pointing at the second row, because we printed the elements of first row here and we incremented our K to the second row. So I want to go to up till second row. So that's why I am writing K minus 1 here. Okay, and again step function is minus 1 because I have to decrement. Okay, and here I will write print A I of L. That's it. It's pretty obvious now. Awesome. This is done. I'll just increment my L here, because again let me tell you, L was the starting column index. So after I printed this first column, all the elements of first column, I have to go to the second column. Once I printed this, I have to go to the second column and again do the same thing which I did here. I have to do this thing again here, and then next thing here, and next thing here, and next thing here. Nothing is there, sorry. So this loop will take care of it. Okay, that's why you wrote this loop. So let me comment this again. Printing the first column from the remaining column. Awesome. This is done. Our program is ready. We printed everything. Now let me create my array. So let's array is A. Okay. For I in range, how many rows I want? I want 4 rows. For J in range, again 4 columns. Let me create a index, a list here, L, let's say, and for now let me add the elements like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 up to 16. So I'll take the count variable and put it 1. And here I'll just append the count variable and increment it. Okay, so I have the elements. So J will take care of my rows. I have the elements of first row, let's say. After the first loop of J is over, I will append that list L, whatever I got after this loop, in my array A, in my matrix A. So A dot append L. That's it. My A is over. I have my A, and I will call the function spiral. So number of, let's say, rows are 4, number of columns are 4, 8. Now let's see this. Okay, let's see. Sorry. Cool. I got my spiral traversal 1, 2, 3, 4, then 8, 12, 16, 15, 14, 13, 9, 5, 6, 7, 11, 10. Is it? Yeah, I think so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12, 16, 15, 14, 13, 9, 5, 6, 7, 10. Cool. So this is over. You can check this. You can write in a different way. This is one of the way of writing this program, the spiral traversal. You can write in a different way also. You can create your own logic. There is another way which is known as recursion, but we will not cover this because it might get a little bit complicated, but it is very cool. So you may check that how we can write a recursive program to print the elements of spiral order. So see this, and we are going to use this logic of spiral traversal in our main program, which is creating the pattern. Hello everyone. Now in last video we saw how we can traverse a matrix in spiral order. Now in this video we'll see how we can create such animation what we saw in the first video. For that we are going to use a library named as Turtle. If you have installed Anaconda, the Turtle comes with the Anaconda. You can check. If it is not there, you can simply install it with pip. Just try searching how to install Turtle with pip, and everything is over. It's just a one command, you can do it. Just install Turtle, and you can read more about Turtle from here, the documentation provided by the Turtle library. You can see here a lot of functions are there, a lot of functionality they have given, a lot of examples are there. You can use those examples to understand how we can create animation through Turtle. Actually it is used to create patterns, and that's exactly what we were doing, what we showed you in the first video. So let's see this. So in order to start with, we'll first create a simple Turtle program to show you how it works. So let's see this. First I have to import the Turtle library. So for that, import Turtle. That's it. Okay. After that I have to create a turtle. A turtle is a kind of pen which works on the canvas. So for that I will create a variable tur, let's say, and I will create my canvas turtle dot turtle. So my turtle has been created. Now I want to create a simple square box. So for that I will write a loop for I in range 5. I will forward this pen tur, which I am saying is my pen on the canvas at some predefined starting position. So I will just forward it. Tur.forward function is there with 50 units. Okay, and then after it got forwarded with 50 units, I will turn this pen position with an angle of 90 degree. So for that I have to use the function .right. It always take parameter as an angle, so I have to give 90, which means it will turn it with 90 degree, and I will do all this thing again. Okay, that's it. I'm done with this, so I have to write turtle dot done. Great. Let me run this. Cool. I got my square. See, it's working perfectly. Okay, let's do something else. Let me create the loop of, let's say, 50 instances, and I will change the angle with, let's say, 144 degree. Let's see what happens. Something is wrong. Let me run this again. Okay, see this. See, I created a star. So you can, using this, you can create a lot of beautiful patterns with different colors. Okay, great. So we are going to use this library to create our pattern, which is spiral traversal, and the animation that we saw in the first video, we are going to create exactly the same animation using this turtle library. Thank you. one, in last video we saw how we can use basic turtle. How we can use the turtle library to create basic programs, basic pattern programs and basic animations. We'll use this in our we'll use the turtle in our last program that we did for the spiral order traversing to create the pattern, that is creating the animation where there were dots printed in spiral order. So this is the program which I created before for traversing a matrix in spiral order. We'll use this program to create the animation. So let me first import the turtle. Import turtle. By default, whenever a turtle is created, the canvas which is created has a default white value. The background color is white. I'm going to need a background color of black. So I will create a canvas of black background. So for that, turtle.bg color, and that is black. Okay. Now I will create a turtle named Stuart. So to create turtle, I have to write turtle.turtle. Awesome. I created my turtle. Whenever I am going to traverse through the matrix, I am going to print a dot. So for that I need a circle kind of thing. So for that I need a width variable. I'll create a width variable of size, let's say 5, and a height variable of size 7. And whenever I go to a particular element, I will print this dot, and I will move forward with some distance. So I need that distance. So I will write that distance with dot underscore distance, which is, let's say, 25. Okay, great. Now I created this turtle, but I need an initial position from where it should start. For that I will set the initial position as dot set position to -250, 250. You can change this position according to your program, but I am keeping it -250, 250. It actually starts with center. It always starts from center. So if you put 0, 0, the position of the turtle will be at the center of the canvas, but I need it at the topmost left corner. So for that I am keeping it, the x coordinate as -250 and y coordinate as 250. Now let's see this. I need the color of the dot as white because my background is black. So for that I will write dot color, which is white. Great. Now inside my while loop I'll go. Okay. Whenever I print a first row, after printing the first row, after going through the first row, my turtle position should be at angle of 90 degrees. It should move at the angle of 90 degrees so that it can go downwards. So in order to go downwards, I have to put it downwards. I have to put the position of turtle. I have to move the position of turtle with an angle of 90 degrees. But it should print for the first row as usual. I mean, it should go forward in the right direction. It should not print in downward direction from the first row only. So for that I will create a variable to check that, let's say flag or f as 0. Okay. After printing this, okay, so I'll check here if f is equal to 1. It means I already printed the first row. I will move the position of the direction of my turtle at the angle of 90 degree to the right. Okay, and here after printing the first row, now I don't need to print the array here. I will just comment it, and instead of this I will write here, okay, dot forward with the distance, which I put as a variable dot distance. Okay, and after I print the first row, I need to set my flag value to 1, which means if this is okay, then after this you always have to turn the position of turtle at the angle of 90 degree to the right side. Okay, that's why I created this flag variable f. Okay, done. So first row is over. After the first row, okay, after I print the elements of the row, I have to print the column. I mean, in the first iteration I was printing the last all the elements of last column, so I have to print it in the downwards way. So for that I have to change the angle of my turtle to downwards. It means to the right of 90 degree. That is dot right and I'll put 90 degree. Again here I don't need to print the elements. I'll just comment it and I will write my turtle. I will forward my turtle to dot distance. After this, I again have to change the direction of my turtle to the 90 degree. For that, dot right of 90. That's it. This is all for printing. I don't need this, so I will just comment it. Okay, and instead of printing the element, I will just forward my turtle. Forward with dot distance. Again same thing, after printing the last row, I mean the row in reverse order, I have to again change the direction. So I will do this dot right with 90. Here again I will not print this, I will forward. Let me copy this. I will forward the dot distance. Now this is over. Okay, great. So now I don't need all of these arrays because I am not printing any of the array, nor I need this count value. Okay, I just have to call this. Let me change the parameters here. This is okay. Let me do this for the value 20 rows and 20 columns. Okay, and I'm done. I will write turtle dot done. Let's run this. See, I created my spiral traversing, so I'm getting lines. Okay, this is all what we have to do. Now after a little tuning up, we can create what we created in the first video, what we saw in the first video. So this is exactly what you wanted to do. You can take this program, change in whatever order you want to change. This is the main program actually. You can fill the colors, you can change the shape, you can do something else. Okay, but this is the main program. Okay, thank you. So in this program, what I was doing two things. First, I created a list of colors. Let me zoom it. Okay, so first I created a list of colors, a list color: white, yellow, brown, red, blue, green, orange, pink, violet, gray, and you can give a lot of colors there. You can check the document. Second, what I was doing, rather than printing a line, if you just forward the position of the turtle, it will just print a line. You can create a dot also. So there is a function in order to create a dot, which is known as turtle, your turtle name dot, and it will create the dot with the way you want to create. Okay, so it will create a small dot with the color you want to create. So in this, I'm on a random basis, I'm creating different colors. Okay, so that's what I was doing there. And for that, first you have to remove your lining pen. In order to remove that lining pen, you have to call a function which is known as pen up. Pen up means that it will not create a simple line. Rather than, when I will call the function dot function, it will create a dot and go forward. At the time of forwarding, it will not print anything. So pen up will not, after putting pen up, it will not print anything. Whenever you call a dot function, it will print a dot there and move forward. That's it. So that's what I was doing exactly there. So, and every time what I was doing, I was calling a random function. So you can see here, call random from 0 to 10. 0 to 10 means between these I was calling a color from this list and using that color every time, so that my color changes randomly. And this is the program for the pattern. It is the same program which we wrote in the last video, only with a little bit tune-ups. So you can create your own program, you can change this. So I will recommend you guys to please change the program and create your own pattern using the spiral order only. You can create different things also. You can one more thing you can do is, you can, rather than going from the first element which is present as 0, 0 and going to the middle element, you can start from the middle element and you can go in the reverse spiral order to the first element. So this program works like this. So yeah, it will show the spiral order like this with dot. You can even create some other shapes here rather than dot. You can see the turtle documentation. You can create different shapes actually. You can create your own shape also. And I'm not doing anything, I'm just randomly changing the colors by picking up the random color from the list of random colors which I defined as a variable. And I just put it in the same program which I wrote in the last video. So that's it. So why to do this? Because it's just fun. That's it, nothing else. So please post your questions and whatever problems you are facing in this regarding this video on the discussion forum. We would like to help you guys to do this program and to learn interactive programming with Python. And please, I would like you guys to change this program to make something else. If you have some new ideas, please post it on the discussion forum. Thank you.
Hey guys, suppose I ask you to go to a remote place in your city. So what would be the first thing that will come to your mind? Of course, that would be GPS. So our next joy is about GPS.
Hello friends, welcome to yet another joy in our course. All of you must be aware of GPS, the Global Positioning System. It is something that lets you share your location on WhatsApp or track your route using Google Maps. GPS is actually a network of satellites that help tracking the geographic locations of an individual. Keeping the technical stuff aside, let me give you a nice motivation about this job. Assuming this story, some time back, one of my friends owning a pizza delivery company calls me. He has complaints of late delivery from his customers and he installs a GPS tracker on the delivery bikes, hoping that this would solve his problem. But instead of giving the location names, GPS tracker gives raw information in the form of latitude and longitude information. In order to help my friend, I need to write a code that helps him track the route of his delivery boys. But can we do it using Python? Of course, yes. But how can we do it? Well, we have Amit to our rescue. Let's find out.
Hi guys, in this video we will see, given a set of routes, how we can plot the route on Google Maps. So for this we are going to use two libraries. These are gmplot and CSV library. What you have to do exactly, what's the problem? Let me explain. So you are given a set of plots, okay, and you have to plot these routes on Google Map. So how you can do this? So suppose this is my file named as route.csv, and these are the coordinates. Coordinates mean the first number which is shown here is the latitude, the second number is shown here is the longitude. So it is separated by a comma. So that's why this file name is route.csv. CSV means .csv file format is comma separated values. So whatever the values are there will be separated by comma. And you can open this file in spreadsheet also, or simple any text editor. So we will recommend you guys to use Sublime Text if you have, or you can use any simple text editor. So suppose I have a list of coordinates here. So in the video you saw that there was a guy and he was wandering around in his bicycle, and the manager, what he did, he put a GPS system in his bike so that he can see the routes where he is going and whether he is delivering to the correct location or not, or he is wandering off anywhere. So suppose he get the information in this file and .csv file. These are the locations where the person went. Now how to plot this, because these numbers doesn't make any sense. I don't know what to do with this. I don't know where he went exactly. So there is a way we can plot this. So in this video we'll see how we can plot this on Google Maps and how we can see what the routes are being followed by these values. So let's tune on and let's see you in next video. Before we start plotting the routes, let me go through this root.csv file one more time, and we'll see how we can parse this file using our CSV library that I said in the last video. You know that this root.csv file has value, the coordinates in separated by commas. Mean that first value is the latitude value and the second value separated by comma is the longitude value. The first step is to parse this data, how to extract this information from this file in Python. So let's see this. So I'll create a new Python file named gps.py, and I'll import this CSV library. You can read more about CSV library on Google. There is a nice documentation here. You can read all the functions and parameters that are provided by the library. Please have a look at it, and I'll be using very simple parsing method to parse the CSV file. So let's see this. So I'll import the library first. Import CSV. Okay. Now my CSV file name which I want to parse, the name of the file is root.csv. So I'll open that file with open root in commas root.csv in read mode, because I don't have to write anything. As f, let's say, you can put any name here, any variable name here. Okay. After opening it, I will use the reader function. So I will create a variable named reader, and I will use the CSV reader function to pass this f. Now what it does? It will create an iterator through this file. Okay, so that I can iterate over it, and I can read the values one by one as a list. So now my reader variable has all the data of the CSV file as an iterator, so I can iterate over it. So what I will do, I will iterate over it using a loop for, let's say, row in reader. Okay, now row will give me row will contain list, so each item of this list will be a value separated by comma. So first will be the first value, and the second will be the second value after the comma, third will be the third value after the comma, like this in string. So let me print this. So what I will do, I will store the first value in that is equal to row of not 0. Okay, because 0th element of this list contains the first value, and long is equal to row because the first element contains the second value, that is the longitude. I'll just print it. Print lat print long. I'll just create a dummy print so that I get a new line character here. That's it. Okay. Let me run this. Cool. So you can see all the latitude, longitude values has been extracted and printed. Okay. So suppose what I do, I try to sum up. Let me print the sum of the latitude, longitude just for fun. So what I will do here, in the last print statement, I will print lat plus long. Okay. It should print me the sum of these values. So let me run this. Cool. So you can see it's giving me the sum of latitude, longitude. Okay. So here is the problem. It's not exactly a sum. What you're getting is a concatenation of two strings. So as I said, these are not the float values, these are actually string values. So what are you getting is a concatenation of these string values, because the plus, what in Python, if you do a plus in two strings, it will concatenate the strings. So you are getting a concatenated value. So in order to get the sum of this latitude and longitude, you have to change it. You have to typecast, that we say typecasting in C. So it means you just have to change the string value into a float value. So for that you just need a function float, and inside this you put this float. So what it will do, it will just change this string value into float. Now let's run this. Now if I run this, now you can see I am getting the sum 106.3407. So now I know how to parse it, a simple parsing I have of the CSV file. This is all required for this program. In next video you will see how to plot this latitude and longitude value. So now we know how to parse this CSV file using our CSV library. Plot this on Google Map. For this we need a different library name as gmplot. So let me just import this gmplot here to see that whether it is present on this Anaconda cloud or not. So I'll put from gmplot import gmplot. That's it. You can see that it's written that an error has been thrown, module not found error, no module in gmplot. It means that this module is not present in the Anaconda cloud. It might happen that you are looking for some new module which is not present on Anaconda. Most of the time all the modules and libraries are present in the Anaconda. That's why we recommended Anaconda. But there are some libraries, some new libraries which are still building and which are not present on Anaconda cloud. But you can download it. One thing is that you can list all the libraries which are present on the Anaconda. To do that, you can just type on your terminal conda list. It will list all the libraries which are downloaded by the Conda, which are present on the Conda cloud. So you can see all these libraries which are present in your Conda cloud. Okay. You can see that gmplot is not there. So I am going to download it. So in order to download anything from Conda, you can search it through Conda. The command is conda search gmplot. Now it will search this gmplot named Conda in its cloud, whether it is present in any of its channel. If it is present, then it will download. It might happen that it may the library which we are looking for will not be present. You can see that package not found error has been thrown from conda, that this library is not present in any of these channels. In that case, you can download the package through pip. So I will download pip install gm. Now pip will install this gmplot and it will be automatically taken by the Anaconda. Okay, it says that successfully installed gmplot version 1.2.0. So I will see this. Let me try this command again. You can see it has been imported, so it means that I can use this library now. Okay, great. Let me delete this. Okay. So I will import my CSV library. CSV. Next, I will import this gmplot from gmplot import gmplot. Okay. Before I go any further, you can read more about gmplot on. You can Google it. You can read more about gmplot on there is a GitHub library of gmplot. All the reading material documentation is provided here. How to place the map, how to create polygon, how to create the marker, and how to draw it, how to see it. All these things are present. You can just have a look. Okay, so let's see this. So I will import the CSV file, CSV library and gmplot library. Next, what I will do, I will place my map on a particular location. For that there is a function. So let me create a variable gmap is equal to. You can see here also that how to place your map to a particular coordinate, to a location. If you want to place the map to a particular location, you need to have the latitude longitude value of that location, and you can use the Google Map Plotter function of gmplot. So you will have to put the latitude, longitude, and the zoom resolution here. So exactly same thing I'm going to do here. Put gmplot dot Google Map Plotter. Okay, it's already there. And you can see when I put it, it shows the argument center, latitude, center, longitude, and zoom. So I'll put my location as 28.689169. This is some random location I put, or you can change it accordingly, whatever you want to put there. 324448, and let the zoom resolution will be 17. So the gmap contains the map location where I want to plot the map. Second thing is I want to create an icon, the icon which I'm going to use to plot my routes. So I can you just copy this line here. Okay, you do not have to carry much about it. You can create your own icon here, but I'm going to use this Google icon. It's already there on the Google Maps markers. You can just copy this line and you will get the icon. Okay, I have the icon, I have the map. Now I will parse my CSV file so that I can plot it. So I know how to parse it with open. I will open my root.csv file .csv as read mode. Okay, as I will create my reader iterator using the csv.reader function and pass my file. Let me create a variable named k initialized to. I will tell you why I'm using this k. How will I use this? So let me pass this reader iterator, iterate through it. For row in reader, okay, so row will give me a list of all the values which are present in this CSV file. So I need to, there are two values, latitude and longitude value. I'll store it in latitude and longitude variable. So lat is equal to row 0. Since this is a string value, I need to have the float value, so I will convert it into float. Same thing which we did in the last video. The same, I will store the longitude value as float of row 1. Awesome. I have the latitude and longitude value as float values. Now I'm going to use the k as a dummy variable. How? If k is equal to 0, it means the first time, this is the first coordinate I have, then what I will do, gmap dot, I will use the marker function. I put this marker function puts the marker to a particular latitude and to a particular coordinate, that is latitude longitude value. Put the marker at this lat and long value, which this is the first lat and long value, with color. So let me put the color as yellow, okay, and I'll make k is equal to 1. It means that this was the first, and after this whatever is coming, you can do something else if you want. So else, if it is not the first coordinate, which means the k value is not 0, which means the first value already came and you already put a yellow marker there. So whatever is coming after the first is, you can you create the creating the marker as particular latitude and long with color simple blue. Okay, this is done. Since the last latitude longitude value, the lat and long at the last, after this iteration, will contain the last latitude and longitude value. Again, I would like to place a red marker there. So what I will do, I will put gmap dot marker lat and long and color red. That's it. So at the last location, it will put red color marker. So we are done. I just have to draw this map. So gmap dot draw with the HTML file, let's say my map.html. That is it. So I'm going to run this. Okay, so I created a mymap.html. So let me see, go to my folder. It's here. Let me open this with my Chrome, and you can see. So this is, since it is yellow, it is starting from, it means this is the first location. Okay, this is the first location from where delivery guy started. And then he went to this particular streets, went somewhere. These are the blue coordinates given by the GPS device, and he's going somewhere, and you can see these are the locations where we went. These are blue, it means we went there. And this is the red location, it means this is the last location where we went. So this is how you can easily plot the coordinates. If you have the coordinates, you can easily plot it on Google Map using the Python. It's very easy. You saw I didn't use any other hardcore programming. There are many libraries through which you can do simple things. That's why Python is so popular. You can do a lot of things with few lines of code because there are lots of libraries and the community is very strong. So thank you very much.